Hello, this is Melissa Cole, and you're listening to an Oshawa Museum podcast. This podcast series aims to actively promote awareness and appreciation of our community's history, highlighting remarkable artifacts, documents, photographs, or events from our past. We hope you enjoy the podcast. Today's artifact that is being featured is Oshawa's first steel pan. Steel pans, also known as steel drums or pans, or when played collectively with other musicians, are known as a steel orchestra, also commonly known as a steel band. A person that plays a steel pan is called a panist. The steel drum is called a steel pan or pan. It is part of the idiophone family of instruments and is actually not a drum, which is a membranophone. They are the only instrument made to play in the Pythagorean musical cycle of fourths and fifths. The pans are played with mallets that have wooden handles and rubber ends. The larger the size of the drum, the larger the mallet head needs to be. This particular steel pan was made and tuned by Carlisle Julal, who is a longtime member of Oshawa's Club Carib. Not long after Club Carib got its start in 1966, they made a name for themselves by creating a steel orchestra. Club Carib's president at the time, George Kasundoth, decided that their club needed something to celebrate Caribbean culture and bring it to Oshawa. In 1971, Carlisle was approached with the idea of forming a steel band. Carlisle, a native of Trinidad, West Indies, had recently migrated to Canada. As a steel band turner, tutor, and musical arranger, Carlisle was asked if he would consider forming a steel orchestra for the club. With assistance from other club members, they were able to obtain empty steel drums from the city dump. At his home in Oshawa, Carlisle single-handedly turned the empty steel drums from trash to treasure by creating musical instruments. The band known then as the Oshawa Caribs had their first gig playing on a float in the 1971 Folk Arts Council Parade, known today as the Fiesta Parade. During the parade, they stopped in front of Parkwood Estates to play Happy Birthday to R.S. McLaughlin, who had turned 100 that year. After the parade, they performed their inaugural performance, which won them first prize. They went on to other performances, which included schools, shopping malls, church events, and a formal recital at the Oshawa Public Library. In 1996, the concept of another steel band for Club Carib re-emerged, and the Oshawa Sounds of Steel was formed. They continue to perform and entertain today at numerous fundraising, community, and private events. Their most notable performances are during Fiesta Week at Club Carib's Caribbean Nights Pavilion and in the Fiesta Parade. Now let's take a look at the history and development of the steel pan. The instrument's invention was a specific cultural response to the conditions present on the islands of Trinidad and Tobago. Steel pan history can be traced back to the enslaved Africans who were brought to the islands during the 1700s. They carried with them elements of their African culture, including the playing of the hand drums. These drums became the main percussion instruments in the annual carnival festivities. In 1877, the ruling British government banned the playing of skin drums in an effort to suppress aspects of carnival which were considered offensive. Bamboo stamping tubes were used to replace the hand drums as they produced sounds comparable to the hand drum when they were pounded on the ground. These tubes were played in ensembles called tambour bamboo bands. Non-traditional instruments like scrap metal, graters, and dustbins were also used in tambour bamboo bands. By the late 1930s, these metal instruments dominated these bands. And during World War II, the British colonial government had banned tambour bamboo bands and forced people to look for other ways to make merry. During World War II, Trinidad was a refueling station for the U.S. and Britain, and readily available on site were steel drums. Constant pounding on these drums against the flat end left an indentation, and the sound changed. Through experimentation, coincidence, trial and error, and ingenuity on the part of numerous innovators, the metal pan bands evolved into the steel pan family of instruments. The steel pan is now the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago, which is quite fitting for an instrument that was forged from the resilience of a people that were subjected to suppression and hardship. If you are interested in discovering more about the steel pan, visit the Oshawa Museum's exhibit, From Trash to Treasure, Oshawa's First Steel Pan, on display from February 27th until July 30th, 2018. This has been an Oshawa Museum podcast. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other historical video podcasts and subscribe to our channel.